A few days ago, I talked about an Indian suspense film called Karma, which had over 4 million views, and probably half of the people were shocked by the final twist. Then many fans recommended that I cover The Case of Misjudgment, saying it's an incredible domestic suspense movie with a big scale, and the final twist is also quite stunning. Honestly, I had heard of The Case of Misjudgment before, but I hadn't seen it until now. I just knew there was a line in it: if you've watched over 1,000 movies, you'll realize that there is no such thing as a logical incident in this world. As a movie lover, this line truly caught my attention because I've actually watched over 1,000 films. After watching it once, twice, and 3 times, I realized that this movie is indeed not simple. However, there is almost no one who can explain it properly, so I watched it again for a 4th, 5th, and 6th time, and then I realized this is a movie made for movie buffs. It openly and covertly references many films. Just finding these films could take me a whole day. Of course, the main task of the film is still its deception, 24 times per second, which makes it an excellent movie worth a deep dive. Hello everyone, I'm Luo G, and today's video will bring you The Case of Misjudgment. So if you really want to understand this film, come to me, because if you've watched 1,000 films, you'll also discover that there is no movie in this world that can't be understood. So today, let an experienced movie fan show you how to watch a film. The movie begins with the male protagonist, Li Weijie, played by Xiao Yang, planning an escape from prison. The beige color tone used here is an homage to the 1987 movie Prison on Fire starring Chow Yun-fat and Zhang Jiawei. Pay attention to Li Weijie's number 200,907, it's very important. That night, Li Weijie starts his prison break, climbing up from the lower part of the wall. This is a tribute to the classic film The Shawshank Redemption. Here, there's a shot of a prison outfit with the number 200903, hinting that his companion is already dead. The next day, Li Weijie is successfully sent out of prison, but unfortunately, his companion is dead, and his plan is probably exposed. As soon as he gets out, he is buried alive. Li Weijie lights a match, which is a tribute to the low-budget, high-stakes film Buried. Then Li Weijie turns around and sees the corpse of his companion. The screen flips back to reality. What just happened was actually a story told by Li Weijie. The store owner, Uncle Song, comments that the story's ending is bad. After all that effort, the person still died. Li Weijie then says, "Is escaping a good ending?" This line sets up the film's conclusion. Meanwhile, the store clerk, Huang Mao, is watching a film, saying that such movies are the best, intense and thrilling. He claims that Li Weijie is definitely familiar with this film since he starred in Detective Chinatown 2. But Li Weijie self-deprecates, saying it's all montage editing, which makes it fake. True drama is when the tension is real. Fans of cinema have likely heard of true drama, the master of suspense and the originator of twist films. Let's put it this way, all modern suspense films have been influenced by his work. At this point, Huang Mao mentions The Shawshank Redemption, and when Li Weijie hears it, he gets even more excited, talking with enthusiasm. Suddenly, the nearby cop, Sang Kuan, yells angrily, being unreasonable, asking him to be quiet. Li Weijie quickly shuts up and quietly asks Uncle Song, "Why does this pestilence always show up?" Uncle Song replies, "Haven't you heard? Someone on Lanhua Street won the lottery, but after claiming the prize, he was killed. It's said that the police station chief, Chun Jia, personally took over the case." Speaking of Chun Jia, she's a well-known detective. She solved the case in just one day. Why? Because she often says, if you study 1,000 cases, you'll realize there's no such thing as a mysterious case. This quote pays tribute to the famous saying from Sherlock Holmes. After the incident, the police quickly locked onto a suspect, but this person had an alibi, and no matter how they investigated, there were no flaws. After taking over the case, Detective Chun Jie analyzed the crime scene and deduced that the suspect had exploited the inertia of thinking that a person can't be in two places at once. That night, after getting the victim drunk and sending him home, the suspect tied a rope around his neck and lowered it out the window to the ground, where he and a friend played cards, creating an alibi. By casually stepping out for a reason, the suspect could easily kill the victim. Chun Jie then investigated the room downstairs and found traces, even discovering the murder weapon. But after solving the case, her subordinates expressed admiration and confusion because they had already searched the surrounding garbage cans and found nothing, and the trash had been cleaned up. So where did Chun Jie find the rope? Her answer was that by studying the tear stains, she could easily determine the type of rope. So, was the evidence fake? Does it matter? This shows that although Chun Jie is talented, she will stop at nothing to solve a case. This sets up the following plot. Now that we've laid the groundwork for so long, it's time to get to the main story. Li Weijie, the male protagonist, has been living in Thailand for nearly 20 years. He is now a small business owner in the internet industry with 2 daughters. The family of 4 isn't wealthy, but they're happy. One day, his daughter brings home a form that needs his signature for a summer camp, saying there are only 2 spots per class and only the best students can go. Li Weijie is happy and about to sign but then retracts the pen. Why? The camp costs 6,000 yuan, more than 1,200 renminbi, which is quite a sum. He tells his daughter not to go, but she storms off. However, that night, he secretly signs the form. This shows that he's tough on the outside but soft on the inside, and he really loves his daughter. But this summer camp trip almost led to disaster for the family. The next day, Uncle Song introduces a contractor to Li Weijie, as they're building a new police station nearby. Li Weijie learns about it and wants to take on the job of laying down network cables. They're both Chinese, so it's mutual help. But while they're talking, Sang Kun suddenly yells, attracting the contractor's attention. Li Weijie then speaks to the contractor about the situation. It turns out an elderly man's grandson was beaten, nearly losing his eyesight. The old man reported it to the police and was waiting for compensation. Sang Kun, however, insisted on a settlement. Seeing how pitiful the old man looked, Li Weijie took the opportunity to talk while Sang Kun was in the bathroom, advising the old man to go for an injury assessment. With the assessment report, the police would have to investigate and compensate accordingly. He had learned this from movies. After Sang Kun returned, the old man refused the settlement. Sang Kun then threatened and intimidated him, warning him to look out. The people present saw everything, and thus a conflict was born between the two. The man who beat the old man's grandson was none other than the police chief's son, Su Cha. Su Cha is a typical second-generation official. His mother is the police chief, and his father is a congressman currently running for mayor. When his son got into trouble, he was furious. He immediately paid 100,000 yuan in compensation and had the apology letter signed, claiming that the matter was over. However, when the money reached Sang Kuan, it had mysteriously turned into 6,000 yuan. After being beaten, Su Cha stormed off. This detail sets up later events. When Li Weijia's daughter returned from the summer camp, she seemed uneasy, pushing away the juice at breakfast and leaving without eating. This foreshadows something. Notice that it's Saturday. The national telecommunications system had a major issue with the hotel network, and Li Weijia went to fix it. On his way back, his daughter, Ping Ping, meets Su Cha. He approaches her, touches her, and shows her a video, threatening to release it unless she meets him later at his warehouse. The next series of events spirals into something tragic for the family.